Okay, here we go.
Okay, how I feel love and how I express love are pretty much one and the same. And the first thing that comes to my mind is connection. When I feel love in any, and it doesn't have to necessarily be with a person, but when I am loving something that I'm doing, it's because I'm feeling connected to it.
What is the feeling of connection? Can you describe that?
Yes, it feels like the we of whoever I'm in this with, that we're in it together. That's what it feels like. I've delivered a lot of children in my life.
Wow.
And there's a certain being in itness with the woman, with the father, and with this baby that's coming into the world, where I feel like we're all a part of it. I'm a part of them, they're a part of me. We're just all connected in the experience.
So would you describe that as all being, it sounds like you're saying you guys are all joined with the same intention and the same focus in the moment.
Yes, yes. And a similar vibe of joy, a similar vibe
Nice.
of kind of working together towards something that is so joyous and so happy and so profound.
Yeah.
And in the moment when this baby emerges, I remember when I delivered my son's first child.
Wow.
And I remember as she was coming, looking up and just seeing the tears. And my son's not a very emotional guy at all. Just seeing the tears stream down. And my remembering, I delivered him at home. And my remembering the feeling I had as he was emerging. And it was just this circle of connection.
And it all connected in that moment.
And it all connected. I looked at him. I looked at his wife. And then she emerged, and that was bliss. That was joy.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. So what are some other ways that you feel this connection and where you consciously know that in this moment you're in the act of loving?
When I don't know why I'm having these examples of medicine right now, but I remember once having a patient on my table, and she was really afraid about what was about to happen. And I said to her, not to worry. I treat every woman on my table as if she's my daughter. And I love my daughter. And when the procedure was over and the woman was waking up in the recovery room, she asked the nurse to get me, and they brought me back into the recovery room, and the woman said, "I just want to say to you that your daughter is blessed." Oh. And in that moment, I just felt this, I'm back to connection.
Yeah. And there has to be something within you that actually felt that, because words are easily thrown out there. Anybody could say, "I love you, you're like my daughter,"
Yeah.
but for her to feel that means, or suggests to me, that you were coming from a space of sincerity. How did you get to that space of being able to connect with someone who's not your daughter as your daughter?
Interesting that you asked that. My philosophy in medicine, and the reason I practice the way I practice, is because I see every patient I work with as my daughter, my son, my father, my mother, because every patient is somebody's daughter, son, father, mother. And I have carried that since my residency. I've always known that it was important. In times when I was tired and dragging and just didn't feel like it, it was 3 a.m. and I just couldn't. When I would connect, not to this is a patient, but this is somebody's mother that is adored by a daughter.
Yeah.
I could then sink into that place of, okay, I can get that frequency up, I can get my vibration up so I can go and do what it is I need to do.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's not a head thing. It's, in fact, for me, everything is about how does it feel. My whole life revolves around how does it feel. If I'm in a conversation with somebody, in fact, I was having a conversation, I just shared it with the group a little while ago.
Okay.
And it was just not feeling good. And I turned to the woman, I said, "Is this conversation feeling good to you?"
I love that you asked her.
And she just, and I didn't want to be judgmental, I didn't want to make her wrong. I just wanted to kind of let her know this just wasn't feeling good to me.
Right.
And when I asked her, I said, is this and it was about politics, whatever.
Of course.
And she said, well, no, it doesn't feel good. I said, well, let's change it. Let's have another conversation.
Wow.
And in that moment, we shifted.
Wow.
And so I've learned how to hone that skill so that when I'm in a situation, having a conversation that is just making, just
Yeah.
taking my vibration down, down, down.
Yeah.
Finding creative and kind. That's another thing about love and does it feel good is kind. Kind is a word
Yeah.
that has a kind of a vibrational feeling for me. So finding a kind way of expressing that this just doesn't feel good. Let's find a way to feel good.
And I honestly think that that's just such a magnificent expression of love, because in the moment, rather than being concerned with how you might be perceived, you're checking in with that person and bringing the awareness that this doesn't feel good, and then choosing to go in a direction that does feel good, therefore allowing more love. It's
Exactly.
just so powerful, and I really honor and respect the fact that you allow yourself to measure your moments based on how they feel and to value how you feel enough that you can integrate that experience for others.
Absolutely.
So good.
And it's something I use whether I'm with my kids or with my patients. It's, somebody asks me a question, about, well, what should they do and how should they look at this? And it comes back to, how does it feel? And if they say, well, I don't know, I say, well, then let's just get quiet. Maybe close your eyes. Go in, because the answer is always in your gut.
So would you say, am I hearing you say that feelings could be indicators?
Feelings, for me, they are indicators. They are indicators as to, is this the direction I want to go, or is this the direction I want to go? And if I just sit there, not think it through, but feel it through. In fact, I've been doing lots of things lately based on how it feels. There's a guy named Joel Thurman. He's a doctor that wrote this book called Eat to Live. And as I'm reading the book, I'm loving the book, I'm feeling the book.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, why don't you just send this guy an email? And why don't you connect with him?
Yeah.
You're just going to connect with him.
Yeah.
Why? Because it feels good.
Okay.
And I sent him an email, and he sent me back an email, and we're connecting.
Wow. And then so let me ask you about that process. You're reading the book, it feels good. When you got the idea to email him, did it amplify the feel good?
Absolutely.
Like, did it get bigger?
Absolutely. In fact, what you're saying is really important, because if I have a thought,
Okay.
and then I go, because it usually goes thought, then feeling, then behavior or action. Sometimes I'll have a thought, and then it'll feel in the moment like that feels good, and then I'll reach for whatever that is, and then it all of a sudden doesn't feel so good. So then I kind of back up. It's like, okay, well, maybe not. So yes, the feeling is always an indicator, and it does get amplified. It's almost like being at an amusement park, and you're all excited about getting on that ride, and the closer you get to the ride, the more amped up you get, the more excited you get.
Oh.
And then when you're on the ride and you got your hands up, and you're going down that big old roller coaster,
Yeah.
it's feeling good. You know that that's where you want to be.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing with us how you express love, and just for living this life and honoring yourself and valuing the love that you have in your life, and just for sharing with us. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.